Hey, welcome back. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, watched the NHL trade deadline special. Quite a bit to unpack there. A lot of insane deals that went down. Today, actually not today. Time of recording is Monday night, but it's the first day of the NFL free agency period. So we'll break that down at some point. We'll get to that a little bit later on. Um, UFC 299 over the weekend, break that down. And then we got some more news on the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. We'll get to that here in a little bit as well. Joe, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah. First, I got something for a soft open real quick. Did you see the video of Nick Bosa meeting Donald Trump? He looks
Yes.
like a fat kid in a candy shop. That is the happiest I've ever seen this man. You seen the video where she's like, I just want to sack the quarterback, dude. Like, he looks happier meeting Donald Trump than he did there. Goodbye to him ever getting a Madden cover. But I found that hilarious. And then Joe Burrow being over there too. He was posted up with Donald Trump too. That was the highlight of my weekend, seeing those videos. But all right, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
All right, let's get started. With Mark Stone being put on LTIR and being confirmed out for the regular season by GM Kelly McCrimmon, Vegas has the looks to be circumventing the salary cap once again during this quest for the cup. Due to that free $9 million in cap space, the Knights acquired Anthony Mantha, Noah Hannafin, and Tomas Hurdle, all without touching the NHL roster. This raises questions as the NHL started investigating Vegas for foul play as they look poised to make another run to the Stanley Cup final. But there should be no complaining from other teams. They had the chance to make any sorts of cap circumvention illegal and chose not to in 2015, except for the Blues and the Lightning. So to me, it is all fair play. Briggs, I want to get your thoughts on cap circumvention, the rule in general, and then we'll get into it a little more. This hot button issue. The NHL, as soon as Vegas put Stone on the LTIR, the NHL immediately launched an investigation into foul play, same as they did with Tampa a couple of years ago. Same what they did with Vegas last year. Same what they did in the Blackhawks in 2015. So I want to get your thoughts.
We knew it was coming. I mean, you could have sat there last season and said, hey, next year, that week of the trade deadline, Mark Stone's going on the IR or the LTIR. And I mean, we can probably sit here and say it next year, they're going to have some guy who takes a massive cap hit for the team go on LTIR and allow them to free up that space because the rule is out for the viewers at home if you're not aware. The regular season has the salary cap for the NHL. Once that switches over to the postseason, that salary cap no longer exists, and those who are on the LTIR are able to come back and have that whatever their salary is not affect the team for the time being. Again, once postseason ends, then they have to start kind of whittling it back down. Um, but I mean, we saw Chicago do it in 2015, as you said. Tampa did it, and so it's not something that's new by any means. And I think more teams, and we were talking about this when we talked about the trade deadline. More teams need to take a page out of Vegas's book because I don't see them closing this rule in the loophole anytime soon. So take a page out of the book and go and um, kind of make the field even. Like especially we talked about the Kings not doing anything because they had some guys go down. I think again I haven't looked too far into the injuries to Victor Arvidsson and Adrian Kempe, but if one of them has a possibility to go on LTIR, move them quickly to LTIR and look to make a move with that cap space that you freed up. Especially because Kempe, I believe, has a fairly sizable cap hit, so that frees up some space, and then you go and you're able to make more moves, and then not have to end up complaining about it, which we hear every year is the complaints. I have no problems with the loophole. So that's my thought on it.
I don't understand why more of these teams don't do it. Like I said, all these teams are complaining. They were complaining last year. They were complaining when Tampa did it. I didn't like it with Tampa did it. I didn't like Tampa because I didn't want to see them win it again. I don't want to see Vegas win it again. But I don't understand why you wouldn't. I mean, if you're Detroit, I'm keeping Dylan Larkin out. I'm keeping um if I was LA, I'd keep him out. You might as well. Like there's no point in not. You use advantage of the loophole because I know some of the rules with that they can't change until the CBA ends in 2026. But they can put like game limits on players where like a player has to play a certain amount of games before he can be eligible for the playoffs, which I wouldn't like that. But there are ways you can fix this loophole until 2026 when they change the CBA. Because I think the last time that he voted on the CBA was it was quite a few years ago. So, and I think they voted on it again. I couldn't find where they did when I was doing research last night, but I thought teams had voted on it after Tampa Bay did it, and teams still voted to keep that loophole. So I don't want to hear any complaining from any sort of team about Vegas doing it. Every team has this at their disposal, and the NHL ain't gonna catch them all. And even then, what is the NHL gonna do? Gonna strip you?
It's going to be a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, what are they going to do? I don't trust Gary Bettman. I mean, you see the Department of Player Safety. I don't trust them. So Vegas has freed up 9 million in the last 2 years from Stone being put on LTIR. They also I don't think Jack Eichel returned until the playoffs last year either. So I think they're like quite a bit uh over last year. Vegas had 18 million over the cap when they won in 2021. And then Chicago, I think, was only 4 million over the cap because Kane was out and they acquired like two depth players. So it wasn't as big of a deal, but it was still noticeable. But go ahead.
So, in doing some of my research for this episode, I was reading around a lot of forums, and one thing that someone had mentioned was have a cap compliance for every game. So, for instance, if Mark Stone, who's on LTIR presumably until the first round or second round of the playoffs, um, if he wants to come back, then you have to sit 9.5 million worth of players out in order for him to come back in, assuming that they're 9.5 million over. Um, and so that was one of, and so have that cap compliance for every single postseason game, and kind of extend that rule for the salary cap into the playoffs. Um, and tailing off of what you're talking about with Vegas being 18 over last year, they've got some pretty big salaries on the LTR right now. Robin Leonard is also long-term IR, I believe,
Leonard's not going to play in the playoffs, so
but that's
it's all Aiden Hill from here.
it's still a
Yeah, I
five
agree, but
it's still $5 million they free up though. William Carrier, he's a one I think $1.5 million cap hit. So again, that's just doing some quick math, right around 16 million that they freed up. So you're looking right around that 18 million mark that we saw last year,
well,
being
I
in
think
excess.
Stone has a 9 million cap hit. I think Hurdle has like a 8 million, 7 million cap hit. Hannafin's got like a 4.5, I believe, and Mantha's got a I want
I
to
think
say it's around two or three.
it's two because Washington, I believe, retained half of his salary.
Yeah, Hannafin's salary was retained. Hurdle's salary was retained. I think Hannafin's was 75% retained.
Yeah, and then that one was
Um,
weird because Philadelphia is retaining 25% of the Hannafin salary.
yep.
So
Because I think they got a couple of draft picks in that trade, which benefits Philly because Philly's not going far in the playoffs this year, at least to me, if they make it. But
we'll
we'll
kind of
see
cover
with
this.
Tortorella being suspended for 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, and this will come back up with whoever wins the Stanley Cup. They'll likely be over the cap. I mean, that's not even going to be in question. Um, Again, if Vegas does it, it's going to be the same conversation. We're going to be talking about this again post
Well,
Cup.
think about Landeskog. They'll be well over the cap if Landeskog comes back. Colorado, especially with them getting Middlestat, which is why they had the cap to go get him in the first place. So I think Colorado's got a good shot at the cup this year too. So that'll be interesting as well.
So, yeah, you ready to move on?
Yeah. All right, you want
Okay.
me? I assume I need to take the lead on this.
Yep, go right ahead.
All right, so UFC 299. I give props to Dana White. I did not watch a lot of the prelims, but the main card was a hell of a card. Um, I'll recap each one of the fights just briefly. Peter Yan beat Song Yadong via unanimous decision. All three of the judges had it 29-28. Um, Song put up a good fight. He just couldn't. I mean, Jan's experience, it benefited him. Um, Jan's been well established. I think he was fighting bantamweight, in the UFC for a while. So I enjoyed that fight. It was a good starter to the pay per view. And then Jack Della Maddalena knocked out Gilbert Burns in round 3. Um, I thought Gilbert Burns looked good when he was on the ground, but I did not. He couldn't keep up with Jack when he was on his feet, and he had almost had a couple submissions. But he took a nasty knee and fell down, and then Della Maddalena just threw a couple elbows, knocked him out. Um, MVP Michael Venom Page beat Kevin Holland versus unanimous decision. And first off, Page walking out to the Undertaker intro. I don't know if you saw that. He walked out to the Undertaker intro music, and then he was busting moves. Like, it made no sense. While the Undertaker's music was playing, he was just busting moves. He was just breaking it down. Um, a lot of taunting going on in that fight. Obviously these guys had a lack of respect for, or I mean, they ended up having respect for each other at the end of the fight. Um, Holland was complaining that Page was moving around a lot. You could tell Page's reach advantage was he had good distance management. He was constantly moving, which caused Holland to lose. Holland's lack of cardio lost him this fight in the third round. All three judges had that fight 29-28. I think MVP is going to be good. I think he's going to get knocked out one time because he doesn't have any defense up here. His arms were straight down. I think that was overconfidence. I think he knew he could win that fight, or he would win that fight. But you're gonna get clobbered one time by someone like maybe an Izzy or I can't remember what weight he was at, but you're gonna get knocked out one good time. Um, so that'll be interesting. Dustin Poirier knocked out Benoit Saint Denis in round 2. My takeaways from that one was Poirier's not washed. He's probably earned himself another title fight. He went for a lot of guillotines. Almost had a couple of them. But Dustin continues to climb up the record books. And he had a couple good punches against Saint Denis and just knocked him down. And when I don't know if you saw that knockout, but when Poirier landed that one shot and it just Saint Denis just collapsed, you could tell he was out. That was a good fight. I think that was pretty even until Poirier knocked him out. But it was a huge win for Dustin. I'd like to see him continue to climb up the record books. I'd like him to see a title shot and hopefully win. I'll be rooting for him. And then the fight of the night, most hyped up bantamweight fight of might be of all time, especially with Sean O'Malley and how he's became a star. Sean O'Malley routed Chico Vera by unanimous decision. Two of the judges had it 50-45. One of them had it 50-44. I think this fight proved that O'Malley versus Vera won was a fluke. And I think Sean's one of the best strikers in the UFC, if not the best. No one in the bantamweight division can strike with Sean. Um, you've seen the especially watching the Aljamain Sterling, even watching all Sean's fights just since the first Cheeto fight. Watching all Sean's fights, like this dude can strike with the best of them. Jan was the only person since Cheeto that has come close to beating Sean. And we could have a conversation about that fight, whether Jan actually won that fight or not, or O'Malley won that fight or not. But um, I I thoroughly enjoyed the pay-per-view. The atmosphere in Buffalo Wild Wings was absolutely electric during the pay-per-view. Um, and I rooted for O'Malley, so it was good to see Sean get the win. I think Sean's gonna be very dominant in the bantamweight division because I don't think anyone can strike with him. Because Aljamain Sterling was supposed to be able to get Sean on the ground, and he couldn't. And so if they're not going to get Sean on the ground, no one's going to beat Sean. I think Sean is the best striker in the bantamweight division. I don't think anyone can punch with him. And he reminds me a little bit of Sean Strickland, where he likes to fight, he likes to box. And I think that's how Sean Strickland beat Izzy. Granted, he lost to DDP, and that's because DDP could get him on the ground. But if no one can get O'Malley on the ground, no one's going to beat him in bantamweight. Um, we'll see which fight Sean takes next. I'm excited for it, but props to Dana. That was a hell of a card. I'm super excited for UFC 300. Um, that is a hell of a card, and I can't. Even the prelims, you got Aljamain Sterling on the prelims. Um, so I'm excited for that. Any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I was looking at the numbers from that fight. First off, Cheeto Vera being from Ecuador and the fight being in Miami, there were a lot of people that descended on Miami for the fight from Ecuador. I was looking at the number. I think it was I can't remember what the number. I don't. I think it was over a million people, maybe Ecuadorians had come in. Not gonna don't take my word on that. Not entirely sure. I think I read the number wrong there, but O'Malley 230 significant strikes to Cheeto Vera's 89. I mean, that is
Oh,
insane.
Cheeto got his ass beat for 25 minutes. And
And I mean,
Cheeto, and I want to say this real quick. Cheeto had a good game plan because Sean should have knocked him out, especially with that knee. Cheeto had his hands up and made sure Sean couldn't get that big right like he did on Aljamain Sterling. And Cheeto had a great game plan. He could nobody can strike with Sean O'Malley. Go ahead. Sorry.
and so I mean, it's a huge difference. I think in having done some boxing myself, when you're getting that pummeled, I mean, it's going to be hard to keep up. Um, my big thing, I saw the highlight of O'Malley kneeing Cheeto in the face. You can hear the crack of the contact between the knee and the head, and therapeutic is one way to describe it. If you're a fan, horrifying if you're a Cheeto Vera. I mean that. Oh my goodness. I mean it. You know, like the videos of like Lightning McQueen going across the screen. They should replace that with the sound of Cheeto Vera's head snapping back, because that's more an accurate of like the whoosh. So
And he didn't fall down. That's the
no,
craziest part about that. Cheeto's never been knocked down in his career. And granted,
it's
I think that stat's a little bit skewed because Cheeto was on the ground quite a few times. But um that knee, you could hear that around the world. Like when I was at Buffalo Wild Wings, the entire everyone in there just went, ooh, and then it just went silent after that because everyone's like, how did this man survive? How is this man still standing? And the fact that he was still standing after that fight, and he had gotten Sean pretty good, but that knee, dude, that was nasty.
yeah.
Nasty.
So I'm not sure if this past fight put him ahead of John Jones or if it tied him with John Jones. But Cheeto Vera, when I at the time of looking it up, Cheeto Vera is currently tied with John Jones at 23 fights without being finished. So 23 fights of going all 5 rounds is crazy, especially in the UFC where you see all these submissions in first, second, third rounds. Where I mean, it's like you go down and it's almost done instantly.
Well,
With
he
how
doesn't.
quickly these guys pounce.
It's not all 23 fights. It doesn't include that. Includes him finishing other people, like the O'Malley fight. Like had knocked Sean out in the first round. So just to be clear,
So okay, so but a majority of those will probably go 5 rounds, I'd say.
3. Only championship fights go 5 rounds.
Okay. As you can tell, I'm not a big UFC guy. Big boxing guy. I love boxing. Nothing better than sitting there watching two guys beat the shit out of each other for 30 minutes. So,
Speaking of boxing,
dude, so I was able to do a lot more research into these upcoming Jake Paul fight, July 20th. And when I said, I think it was the first episode, I said if he wants to cement himself as a professional boxer, he needs to go out and fight someone real. Well, oh boy, did he land a real one in Iron Mike Tyson. I mean, this dude's about to get himself killed.
it's rigged. What did I say? I think it was in the pilot or episode 1. What did I
It,
say?
it was early.
Every Jake Paul fight is rigged. This fight is going the distance, and it's going to be a huge payday for Mike. One, Mike's 60 years old. I still don't consider this someone real because there's no winning for Jake Paul. Like, cool, you beat Mike Tyson, but you also beat a 60-year-old man. Like,
Mhm.
Mike's old. I get Mike can still move, but he can't move like Mike used to move. Like, and it's it's rigged. It's gonna be a payday. Like, it's just meant to draw eyes to Jake Paul. It just why Mike? I and for people saying that you're not going to tell Mike Tyson to do whatever, there's a price tag that will get Mike Tyson to do it. Everyone's got a price. Every single person has a price. And I'm telling you, Mike Tyson is it's going to be the same thing as the Tyson Fury fight.
So when yeah, I'll go into a little bit more depth. But when it was originally released that the two were gonna fight, pretty much all we got was that they're gonna fight July 20th. It'll be on Netflix, and it's gonna be in AT&T Stadium in Dallas. That was pretty much it. Since then, it's kind of come out. So it's currently an exhibition because the Texas Sports Commission has not officially taken it up yet. So until then, it'll be an exhibition, and I'll kind of get into more of what that means here in a second. But most valuable promotions, MVP promotions, who's putting it on, they're they're lobbying with the Texas State Commission to try and upgrade it to an actual professional bout. And so, with it being currently an exhibition, this fight will not go on either fighter's record, which honestly would probably be for the better. Uh, if it was to get picked up by the Texas State Commission, then it would. It obviously it'd be an official fight. Um, and so the big difference between the exhibition and if the Texas Sports Commission picks it up with the fight being in Dallas, will be the judges. So with an exhibition, there'll still be judges there, but it won't be like an official thing. It's just kind of like a show and tell mainly. It's not the judges don't really make it as much of a difference. Whereas if it's like an actual professional bout, excuse me, and Texas Sports Commission is going to put it on, they will appoint judges who will accurately uh, score the fight. Um, and when it comes to it being rigged, I think if Mike Tyson does not knock Jake Paul down in the first round, and like Jake Paul is not out, then it's rigged. Seeing how much power Mike Tyson still has at the age of 57, I have no doubt in my mind Jake Paul cannot stand a chance in a fair fight. Given I think there is a very fair chance this is rigged. There's a very fair chance that Jake Paul is paying Mike Tyson an insane amount of money in order to not get his ass beat in. But I mean, you look at the videos of Jake Paul training, he's not scary at all. I like there's no professional boxer out there. Like you look at the Gervonta Davis clips of him knocking guys out. That dude is scary. I mean, he's like a sniper rifle. He picks his shots and he finishes. Jake Paul does not finish people with like hard rights, hard anything. He's a very sloppy boxer. His footwork is terrible, and he hasn't fought anyone. He's fought washed up people. He's fought nobodies. I mean, okay, yeah, you've picked up Mike Tyson, but again, dude's 57. Jake Paul has nothing to gain from this. When it comes to like actual like boxing uh, clout, I guess would be the word for it. Um, but
Money.
yeah, but that not in the boxing world. That's not what
And
I'm
either
talking about.
way, he's gonna say you knocked out Mike Tyson or beat Mike Tyson. I mean, it was just like when he took the Fury fight, the Tyson Fury fight. Oh, I
Mhm.
beat Tyson Fury, even though he's a 50-year-old man. Like
Well,
he's.
he fought Tommy Fury and he lost. Tommy
Oh, I thought
Fury
it was Tommy Fury. I'm tripping. Never mind.
and Tommy
But
Fury
still,
got knocked down, but I think Tommy Fury just about controlled a strong majority of that fight. I know
it was
Jake
a
Paul was,
hugging match.
yeah. I mean, it was compared to other fights that we saw last year, mainly the Gervonta Davis Tank fight
That was a
that or
hell of a
not
fight.
Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. My bad. That was a hell of a fight. I like that one. But I mean, just watching that and then watching and comparing it to the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight, two complete different products that were put on the canvas. But so we will definitely see how it plays out. We'll definitely follow closely and update you guys kind of as we get closer to the fight, whether or not the Texas Sports Commission picks it up and what that will mean moving forward for the bout and kind of how that's going to play out going into July 20th. I definitely will be watching it just because it's Tyson or not Tyson. It is Tyson. It's Mike Tyson. I was thinking Tyson Fury there for a second, but um, I want to see Jake Paul get his ass beat in. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. You ready to move on?
Can't wait to not watch it. I would literally rather watch birds fly in the sky. Like, I don't care. This is not something I care about deeply. It's going to be rigged. It's going to be a hugging match for 30 minutes or however long the fight's going to be. But can't wait to not watch. Glad everyone's excited for it. But we can segue into the SEC overs and unders.
Mm-hmm. So a couple weeks ago, we did the Big Ten over-unders. Again, this is way too early. We'll get a much better understanding of, hey, this team's going to be this good. Kind of after spring ball and kind of after the summer camp training, whatever you want to call it, session ends, and we kind of see who the QB ones are going to be, who a lot of these position battle, like the starting lineups start to get solidified. We'll be able to compare that with other teams and see what we think their record's going to end up being. So right now it's a rough estimate, and it's going to be just very quickly just rattle it off the top of your head. We'll kind of highlight some of the key matchups, and some teams in the SEC have an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. I mean, my goodness. Joe, you want to take it away?
Yeah, I want to start with Georgia. So Georgia set at well, I'm gonna read off all the overs unders. So we got Georgia and Texas at 10.5. We got Alabama, LSU, Missouri, Ole Miss at 9.5. Tennessee and Texas A&M at 8.5. Auburn, Oklahoma at 7.5. Kentucky, Arkansas, or no, Kentucky at 6.5. Arkansas and Florida and South Carolina at 5.5. Mississippi State at 4.5, and Vanderbilt at 2.5. So I want to start with Georgia. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. You got home against Clemson. Win. Yeah, that is one.
Yeah. Actually,
Then you're gonna
that that's
go.
that that game is in Atlanta, not in Athens, but still basically a home game.
Yeah.
Clemson will travel fairly well. That's not that far from Clemson. But it'll be a good game in my opinion.
Murder.
I think Georgia's going to win by 3 scores. It's going to be fun to see Clemson lose.
Murder. Then they're going to go kill someone else. Then you have at Kentucky. So I got them 3-0. You got a bye. Go to Alabama. I got them winning that. Home against Auburn, win. Mississippi State. Home against Mississippi State. I got that as a win. At Texas. Ooh, at Texas. I still got them winning that. I think Georgia's going to be good. You still got them undefeated?
Yeah, I have Georgia finishing the season undefeated. I
Okay.
mean, they finished the way with Florida, at Ole Miss, Tennessee, or at home against Tennessee, at home against UMass, and at home against Georgia Tech. I Texas is going to come the closest to beating Georgia, in my opinion. I don't think Alabama is going to be all that close. Alabama may give them a run for their money.
It is at Bryant Denny.
It is at Bryant Denny Stadium. I think that one will be closer than the Texas one will be. Um, I think Georgia
I
finishes the
don't
year
know.
undefeated.
Georgia's two toughest games are at away from home. I think Auburn's going to be a little bit better this year. Other three toughest games are away. So you go to Alabama, to Texas, and to Ole Miss.
I think
Oof,
Georgia finishes. I think they're able to power through and finish undefeated.
that's rough, though. Your three toughest games are away. I
It'll
mean,
be
granted, it's a bunch of monsters running around in Georgia, but still, the fact that you've got to play your three toughest games away from home. But I think that's one of the best bets on the board is Georgia over 10.5. Because even then they can still afford to lose one.
hmm
So, you cool with doing Alabama?
Yeah, we do Alabama, then move to South Carolina.
All right. Home against Western Kentucky. Win.
Yeah,
Home against USF. Win. Then you go to Camp Randall. That's no walk in the park. That is not going to be
I,
any walk in the park. I don't
I
trust
think
Tyler Van Dyke, but that is no walk in the park for Kalen DeBoer. I
I
still
think
got that as a win, but
I think it's going to end up being a defensive battle. It'll be interesting to see how Kalen DeBoer brings in that West Coast system and how Milrow is going to kind of go into that. We saw him struggle a little bit with the passing game early on last season, so we'll see how that new style kind of comes in. Um, so I think that one will ultimately be a defensive battle. I think the offenses are going to be very shaky for that game. So again, I have Bama winning that. I think Bama's only going to end up losing maybe 2 games this whole season. I don't think one of them is going to be Wisconsin.
yeah. And Kalen DeBoer said he was going to tailor the offense around Jalen Monroe, which is what Alabama didn't do until the LSU game last year. Alabama was trying to turn Jalen Monroe into a pocket passer, and he's not. If they tailor the game plan around Jalen Monroe and Kalen DeBoer has his own touch on it, the Alabama's going to win 10 games this year. I can guarantee you that. But so they got a bye week, and then first SEC game for Kalen DeBoer is home against Georgia. I got a loss there.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got,
Again, I think it'll be close. I think that one will.
I think it'll be a one-score game.
Yeah, and I mean,
I think
Georgia,
Alabama might cover.
Georgia's going to try and avenge their loss in the SEC championship last year, and so I think they're going to come into that game with a little bit of extra oomph and really try and kind of blow the roof off. I think that may lead to some mistakes early, and let Bama hang around. But I think it's going to end up being like a 21-17, 28-24 kind of game.
Well, both teams have a bye week before that game, so that'll be interesting. So I got them 3-1. Go to Vanderbilt, murder. Home against South Carolina, 5-1. Then they go to Tennessee. I got them 6-1.
Yeah, I think they beat Tennessee. Um, I don't know how Nico, and I mean we talked about it earlier this season. Imaleeva, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I don't know how he's going to end
Amaleba,
up being.
something like that.
I don't know how he's going to pan out for Tennessee. He had a lot of hype coming in, so definitely we'll see how that plays out and how that Tennessee offense looks.
I think he's going to be good. I think Nico's going to be good. And then you got home against Missouri. That'll be probably a top 10 matchup. Then you have a bye week. You have two LSU, home against Mercer, at Oklahoma, and then home for the Iron Bowl. I got them going. The 10 and
11
a
and
half is
one.
a good line. 11-1. I could see them dropping one of Tennessee or LSU. I don't see them dropping to Missouri. Um, I see at worst 10-2, or at worst 9-3. But um, I think they'll pull out 11. I think they're making the playoffs this year, easy. You want to do South Carolina now?
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I think they hit the I think just to finish on Bama real quick, I think they hit the over on that 9.5. I think they get at least a 10 wins.
Yeah, I like the Georgia line better.
Yeah. So
Um,
between Georgia, Bama, and Texas, who out of those three do you see having a better chance at making the SEC championship? Or do you see two of those
who
teams
do you
being in it?
think's the? I I don't know because there's so many good teams at the top. You got Ole Miss, you got Missouri. I don't trust LSU's defense. You got Tennessee, who could be good this year. I think Georgia's going to the SEC champion. I think it might be Georgia and Texas.
I
It
think
really
it's going to
might
be
be Georgia and Texas because I think. Do you want to pull up Texas' schedule real quick and we roll
um
through that?
yeah, we can, but I mean, I think it's going to be a rematch of last year. I think it's going to be Georgia Bama again, and I think it's going to be an awesome game. Um, nope, my bad. I think that it's just going to be like great football, and especially when it comes down to those um like early winter games. Bama Georgia has been a spectacle the past couple of years. Nothing short. And again, questionable calls last year, but overall nail biter. Great football. I loved watching it. Um, so I think it'll ultimately be a rematch. I don't know necessarily how these Big 12 teams, being in Texas and Oklahoma, are going to fit into the SEC right away. It'll be interesting to see because I don't think the Big 12 was as strong of a conference as the SEC is. So I don't know how they're going to be able to come in and have that massive step up in competition right away.
I mean, yeah, but I saw Texas whoop Bama's ass up front last year. I seen Texas whoop Bama's ass up front.
I think
And
if you
and Brian Denny.
I think if you take Bama and Texas and put that game at the last game of the season, I think Bama beats the shit out of Texas.
No chance. No chance. There's a reason Texas was ranked number 3 and Alabama was ranked number 4, even though Alabama shouldn't have been. But well, I digress. Um, I think Texas is SEC ready. They've got I don't think their organization is, but the football team is. They've got an experienced quarterback in Quinn Ewers. They've got guys on the outside and Isaiah Bond and all that. They've got the guys up front. And the only thing I would worry about is their secondary. That's the only thing I'd be worried about. And they improved. I think they improved in the secondary. Anyway, let's roll through this Texas schedule real quick. Home against Colorado State, at Michigan, home against UTSA, home against ULM, home against Mississippi State. I got them 5-0 so far. Then they have a bye week. Then they Red River Shootout. Um,
I think Oklahoma
we'll
wins that.
we'll see. That's kind of a pick 'em to me. I'll say 6-0 because I think Texas is the better team right now. Um, then they got Georgia at home, so 6-1 at Vanderbilt, 7-1 bye week. Home against Florida, 8-1 at Arkansas. Home against Kentucky at Texas A&M. I am going 11-1.
Unlike some of the other teams in the SEC, all of Texas's like away games are very easy. Um, I'm looking at Vanderbilt. Actually, I won't say very easy. Texas A&M. That game will be. I think Texas is ultimately going to
College
win that.
Station's going to be bumping.
Oh yeah, it's the first time they've played against each other in a
And they go
couple
to
years.
Michigan.
Uh, I
And they
I don't think Michigan's going to be all that great this year. I think we've
I
talked
think
about
their
it before,
offense is going to be garbage. I think their defense is going to be elite.
but I mean, if their offense isn't putting any points on the board, they can't win with a fat goose egg there. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Only time will tell.
I just think they're going to be an elite defense because they returned everyone.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not gonna argue with you that
and they're an
Michigan's
old
defense
defense,
that they're
like
not gonna
Ohio
be good.
State had last year. All right, so I got South Carolina pulled up. Home against ODU, 1-0. At Kentucky, 1-1. Home against LSU, 1-2. Home against Akron, 2-2. Bye week. Home against Ole Miss, 2-3. At Alabama, 2-4. At Oklahoma, 2-5. Bye week. Home against Texas A&M, 2-6. At Vanderbilt, 3-6. Home against Missouri, 3-7. Home against Wofford, 4-7, and then at Clemson, I got that 5-7. I got them hitting
I
the
just
under. I would not bet this one though.
I disagree, and I'm gonna tell you why. South Carolina's
You
beaten.
already told me they gonna beat Ole Miss and LSU. I don't see that.
Okay, I think South Carolina's going to cover. I think South Carolina's going to make a bowl, and where I'm going to disagree with you the heaviest is going to be that Kentucky game. South Carolina's beaten Kentucky two of the past, or actually the past 2 years. One being in Kentucky, one being here, and the big part of that's been the defense. And South Carolina's defense has not changed. Um, I'm going to be very excited to see how they do this year, especially um, kind of Clayton White figuring it out the last 3 games of the year. That defense was stellar. Didn't give up an offensive touchdown to Clemson, and that was crazy. The fact that we still lost that game, our offense failed us there. But I think we beat Kentucky. I think we go. I think the floor for us this year is going to be 4-8. I think the ceiling though is 8-4. I think they can squeeze out a win against LSU at home. It's going to be the same with some of these other games where you've got kind of a lesser team where the atmosphere plays into it a little bit. I also don't know how Garrett Nussmeier is going to be. So I think South Carolina's got a fighter's chance, lands a big shot, possibly knocks him out there. We'll see.
I don't
Definitely.
see it. I don't see 8 wins on the schedule. I don't see you pulling out 8 wins.
I see South Carolina winning one game out of Ole Miss, Alabama, and Oklahoma.
Tell me where South Carolina got better up front. They
We've
didn't.
we've
And I
added
don't
we've
trust Shane Beamer. I was super high on South Carolina this year. I want Shane to do well too. I was super high on South Carolina this past year.
there was
But
nothing. Hold on. There was. I'm not going to put anything on Shane for this. There was nothing he could have done about the injuries this team faced this year. I mean, this
I
team could
mean,
not have had more injuries where it mattered. Juice Wells being out again. I don't necessarily agree with it. There's some questions surrounding him entirely. Not really happy. I'm fine to see him leave, but our offensive line was decimated the entire season with injuries. And when Spencer Rattler's running around trying not to get sacked every freaking play, it's kind of hard for him to be able to do stuff. And the fact that he was able to do with the numbers that he did for most of the season was quite impressive. And I'm surprised that he's as low as he is on a lot of these draft boards because when he had time, um, and you look at the Kentucky game, you look at the Kentucky game this past year, the Tennessee game 2 years ago, and then the Clemson game 2 years ago. When he has time, he's an insane quarterback. So any NFL team that picks him up will be lucky to have him. But I think South Carolina can beat Oklahoma.
I don't see them beating them in Norman. I don't see that. Can they? Yes. Will they? Probably not. I don't trust them this year. I tried to trust them last year, and I did trust them last year. I had them going 8-4 last year, and they proved me wrong. And I I think this is Shane's last year. I think Shane's going to get fired after this year. I don't think they make a bowl game because they're going to end up losing a game that they shouldn't lose. I mean, I
No,
don't
I
see a
mean
lot of.
they always do. But I mean, if it was going to be a game, I mean, I just don't see one of those cupcake games this year that like they'd be able to lose. But I
And
think
Clemson's
they
no guarantee of a win. You're going
no,
to Clemson? It's no
but
guarantee.
it wasn't a
That
guarantee
floor
two
of
years
four
ago.
and eight is more likely than
It
8-4.
Joey, it wasn't a guarantee 2 years ago, and they still got it done. My thing is they added depth where we needed depth. We picked up some guys for the O line. We got more size up front, and I mean when we watch and see how these first three games are with Old Dominion, Kentucky, and LSU, I think you're going to see South Carolina possibly jump out to a 3-0 start there. I think it's very possible, and I mean I'm not going to keep arguing it. We're running short on time here, but I think there's a chance they jump out to 3-0. Again, actually 4-0. They play Akron that following week, but that gives them some wiggle room for some losses later on because that 3-game stretch of Ole Miss, Alabama, and Oklahoma is one of the hardest 3-game stretches in the country.
Oh, you're going 0-3 in that stretch. I don't see a chance where you're beating Ole Miss and then going to Alabama after that and then going to Norman. But we'll
I think
see. I
I
want
think they
Shane to do
squeeze one
well.
out. I,
I
I think I think he's done wonders for this program. I think if this season doesn't go well, then he's on the hot seat. I think he's safe for this year at least, but we'll see. Um,
I want Shane to do well. I can't trust them this year. And we'll do some more research when after fall camp we'll see who gets all these jobs. I don't know if I can trust Lenore or whatever his name is,
Lenore Sellers.
Sellers to come in and perform. It's the same problem I have with Jackson Arnold. And Jackson Arnold was a higher more of a highly touted recruit than Sellers was. So we'll see. I want South Carolina to do well. I don't trust them. I don't trust them this year. I want to do Vandy because I think this is the best bet on the board. We'll roll through this real quick. All we have to do is roll through the first the non-conference. So they got Alcorn State because their line's at 2.5. Alcorn State at home, at Georgia State, home against Ball State, and
Virginia Tech at the very start. You missed Virginia Tech. They open um, with Virginia Tech in Nashville.
yeah, I don't have that on the. I don't have that on the side I'm
I'll
on.
I don't know what you're looking at because I
One,
clicked on the
two,
same
three,
link that you
four,
clicked on.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's only got 11 games on this. That's insane.
So
That's
well,
wild.
they go Virginia Tech, Alcorn State, Georgia State. Those first three. I think, if I'm being completely honest, I think Vanderbilt's going to beat Virginia Tech week one.
Where's that?
Nashville, First Bank Stadium. So I don't know if that's. I think that's in Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
So
that's Nashville.
um, I think Virginia Tech's way overhyped. I mean, they had losses last year to a 4-8 Purdue team. I think that's what the record was. Absolute garbage. Rutgers was a little bit solid compared to previous years, but they lost to Rutgers. They lost to Marshall. Um, Barely beat ODU. Who that is seemingly ODU's been able to play up to Virginia Tech's level these past couple of years. I think they've beat them twice. So we'll
Yeah,
definitely.
I think that's the best bet on the board.
So yeah,
We'll read
I
off
think
their conference schedule real quick. At Missouri, home against Alabama, at Kentucky, home against Texas, at Auburn, home against South Carolina, at LSU, home against Tennessee. Yeah, you're losing all of those.
yeah, I don't see
At
Vanderbilt.
best, you're going 4-8. You're not beating any of those teams.
But
They might be able to pull one out against Auburn or South Carolina, but I don't see it.
I don't think they're pulling one out against South Carolina. I mean, they lost like 63-7 last year. I mean, it was
Like I said,
ugly.
those are the two teams. If you're gonna pull one out, you're going to do it against.
Didn't they beat Kentucky 2 years ago? was like they snapped like a massive SEC losing streak, and they beat Kentucky and
Probably.
Florida back to back. I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
I think they did.
I think Vanderbilt. There's no reason for them to be in the SEC when it comes to football. I think they should drop back down to a Group of Five conference. Um, it doesn't
But
make
the golf
sense.
team.
I don't even
But
know
the
if their
golf
golf team's
team.
good. I
Yeah, their
mean,
golf team's good.
I haven't seen very many sports where Vanderbilt's been like astonishing at. Um, like giving them like a big reason to be in the SEC. I don't know how their volleyball team is. I don't think I was able to see them this year, but their women's soccer team I don't think was all that hot. Baseball, I guess baseball is the one that would put you in the SEC. Um, Realistically, that's about it. But then you can see like how Notre Dame is in the Big Ten for hockey, the ACC for everything else, and then independent for football. Just have baseball be in the SEC and then drop everything else out. Um, your athletics aren't what you're known for. You're an academic school. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about Vanderbilt. I mean, their athletic program is terrible.
All right, let's get to the NFL signings today.
It
Um,
quite the day.
so yeah, it was a wild day. We didn't we we didn't even get half the signings on this, but it's the major ones that we need to cover. We'll get more into it when closer to the NFL season. Um, but got Russell Wilson on the Steelers on a 1 year deal. Um, Broncos are still paying him the majority of like 40 million.
It was 38 million from the Broncos, and then the Steelers will pay him somewhere around the league minimum, right around 1.2 million for the quarterback. So
Yeah.
it,
And then you have Kirk Cousins to Atlanta. You got Saquon to the Eagles. You got Josh Jacobs to Green Bay. DeAndre Swift went to Chicago. Tony Pollard went to the Titans. Christian Wilkins went to the Raiders on a 4 year deal. Brian Burns got traded to the Giants, which he's a guard, isn't he? He's a guard or a tackle.
I think he's a nose guard.
Okay.
So I think he's on the defensive line.
And then Eckler went to Washington on a 2 year deal, which that one shocked me. But
That's surprising.
Jeff Okuda to the Texans for a year. Robert Hunt went to the Panthers, which is a guard. And defensive end Bryce Huff to the Eagles. So quick thoughts.
The Eckler going to Washington surprised me. Josh Harris is really trying to turn this thing around from the neglect that was the previous ownership. But the huge pickup for Washington in the backfield. Presumably, I think they'll have Drake May calling the shots at quarterback next year.
I still
Um,
like Sam Howell.
I do too. I don't think they're going to pass up on Drake May, given both those guys are UNC guys. So maybe bring them in, kind of help or let Howell help develop May and have May be your QB long term, whereas Howell's probably a better pick for this season. Um, but with Curtis Samuel and a lot of those other wideouts that Washington has in their pocket, as well as Eckler out of the backfield, I think that Washington offense is going to do a lot more damage this year than years past.
We'll see. Who they got at OC? I
Cliff
can't remember who they
Kingsbury,
got.
Eric Bieniemy left, and so Cliff
Oh yeah, that's
Kingsbury
right. Well,
came
Eric
in.
Bieniemy got fired because of whoever the coach was that just came in, and then Kingsbury. So I they could be good next year, especially Austin Eckler. We'll see. It depends if Eckler can stay healthy. But that one surprised me, but kind of confirms Blake Corum to the Chargers. But I like what the Eagles are doing. I really like what the Eagles are doing. Got Saquon. You got Bryce Huff. Um, I like what the Eagles are doing. I think that RPO game with Saquon, Jalen Hurts, and the two wideouts they have in Devontae Smith and AJ Brown is going to be elite. Still got a huge hole to fill You still got Holyfield and Fletcher Cox
Jason
and
Kelsey.
Jason Kelsey. That Jason Kelsey's a huge hole that you're not going to be able to fill. I still think the Eagles are going to Post Malone fall apart. Um, I don't trust them, especially after what happened last year. I don't trust Sirianni, and I was defending Sirianni last year when they were falling apart. That the fact that he was even being talked about being fired is insane. But I don't trust the Eagles after what happened last year. I think AJ Brown's still a diva. Um, so we'll see. We'll see if Jalen Hurts can get out of that late sophomore slump too. But it'll be interesting. I like what the Eagles are doing. I just don't know how much I trust them. What do you think about the Vikings letting Kirk Cousins go? Because they had it. I mean, they didn't have the money to pay him, but and what do you think about him going to Atlanta? Because that quashed all the Justin Fields rumors.
I think Kirk Cousins as a personality fits great in Atlanta. I mean, you see the videos of him dancing around on the plane with the chains on. Dude would fit in great in
He'll be
Atlanta.
he'll be hanging out with Gunna and the Migos.
So I mean, I don't know because who is Minnesota going to have now at quarterback? Like, are they is Josh
Nobody.
Dobbs
They
is
got
Dobbs
Jaron. No, Dobbs is gone. They have Jaron Hall and someone else.
so
I
no
can't
one
remember who
notable.
else.
So
No,
does that now open the door for a
they're
possible?
drafting a quarterback.
Do, does that open the door for them to possibly draft or trade up to the number one and try and draft Caleb Williams?
You'll have to give away too much. I think they'll try to draft Michael Penix or Bo Nix. Because J.J. McCarthy's going to go in the top 10. As much as I hate it, as an Ohio State fan and as a football guy, J.J. McCarthy's not a top 10 pick. He's not a first
He,
round pick.
I think, I don't
J.J.
even know.
McCarthy's a late day 2 pick.
Yeah, I don't know who, not only who to compare him to, but more or less like
He's a younger Bo Nix. JJ?
Bo Nix was
He's
still
a
able to
younger Bo
sling the
Nix.
ball around though. I don't see JJ being able to
JJ
accurately
wasn't in the
throw it.
offense to do that. Remember, Bo Nix is 3 years older than JJ McCarthy.
Bo Nix is fucking a damn Moses out there. How long he's been in college football? I mean, dude was at Auburn forever, and now he was at Oregon for what 2 years, 3 years. I mean,
3 years. I
yeah,
think it was three each.
I mean, we're about to have a situation again where who was it? Someone was getting. I think it was Stetson Bennett and what's his name, Todd Gurley. I think were they on the same Georgia team at one point? Yeah, I
I
think
think it was Nick
Todd.
Chubb. I think it was Nick
Uh,
Chubb and Sony Michelle.
no, because it was Stetson Bennett and someone. Because Stetson Bennett just got into the league, and
Yeah, I
someone.
know. That's what I'm saying.
So I I think
I
no,
thought it was the duo with Sony Michelle and Nick Chubb.
no, I think it's Stetson Bennett as a freshman was on the same team as Todd Gurley, and so Todd Gurley has been in the league and retired since Stetson Bennett's been in college football. And which Todd
Yeah.
Gurley, I mean, he
And I
was
already
hot
went
at
to
the
the Super
start.
Bowl.
Yeah, he was hot at the start and then kind of fizzled out there at the end. But yeah, a lot of moves. Given it's Monday night when we're filming this, there's still stuff coming out as we're talking to you guys right now.
Yeah, I just
Of
got a
course,
notification that Zach Moss, I think it was, went somewhere else. I can't remember where it was. My phone
so
died, so.
we will see how this plays out. I think there will be a lot more moves coming the later end of this week. So if you watch this Wednesday, be expecting more coming in. Big news coming out of the NFL Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. Um, I think more will
And
pick up, especially.
we will smother and cover the NFL draft. So
Oh
don't
yeah,
worry about that.
expect at least one special to happen on the NFL draft, and don't expect that one to be just an hour either. We are going to deep dive into it. Um,
We
so
might
if
do a
you're,
live stream on the draft. Maybe.
we'll see what our capabilities are for
It's in
that.
the works. It's in the works.
Yep, a lot of big things coming. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, do whatever. But real quick as we wrap it up, picks for the weekend. Joey, what are your five money makers for this weekend?
Money makers. I lost money this week. I did awful. I went 7 for 11, dude. And then
Hey,
we went. Didn't we go
get
five and
yourself
five this weekend?
get yourself a Slurpee for that one. 7-11. That's a great number. Terrible for sports betting. Great company right
Yeah,
there.
dude.
Um,
I
yeah,
made a lot of money off of UFC 299 though.
we
Oh
went
man.
we were 5-5 on the weekend picks. We post to our Instagram. So follow us there. We have a little highlight in our profile. You can go back and see all of our previous picks. But yeah, we were 5-5. Joey was 7-11 last week. He posts daily picks on his Twitter. So
I
follow
forgot
Joey.
to this weekend. I'm sorry.
So Joey, we'll get that linked in the description. But Joey, what are your five for this weekend?
Um, so I got tied to Ivasa Moneyline. I forget who he's fighting, but I liked it when I looked at it. Then I got the Avalanche Moneyline. Forget who they're playing. But I like the pick. I think they're playing someone good. Cause I'll try to only take -100 bets on here. -1, like no more than -190. And then Cornell Moneyline. Got the Islanders money line on Saturday, and then I got the Rangers money line against the Islanders on Sunday. I forget who the Islanders are playing on Saturday, but
Battle for New York there on Sunday.
that'll be a good game.
It will be. I've got for my five for this weekend. I've got Vancouver money line against my own Washington Capitals. Breaks my heart to bet against them, but they
You're
Washington's
hedging
been
emotions.
yeah Washington's been hot lately. I don't think they'll be able to beat Vancouver. Vancouver's just been astronomical. They've been
A
on another level.
wagon.
So yeah, I've got that for Saturday, I believe. I think all my picks are Saturday, with the exception of one. Um, Dallas money line versus the Kings. That'll be a great game. NHL, that is. Um, both
Can't wait for
teams
them to score 3 goals.
playoff. Yeah, it'll probably end up being a 1-0 game, but it'll probably be a 1-0 game with a combined 75 shots between the two of them. So that'll
25
be.
shot, 75 shot attempts, bro. They're gonna miss the net. They're gonna miss the net like 90% of the game.
I've got Carolina Hurricanes money line against Toronto. I think with what they've added at the trade deadline, that they're going to be virtually unstoppable the rest of the way. I don't think Toronto's big 3, 4, 5, however much you want to say, with Matthews, Nylander, Marner, the list goes on. I don't think they'll
The
be able to
game.
compete. I don't think they'll be able to compete with Carolina's top six. I think Carolina's top six is going to run that game. Um, and then Scotty Scheffler this weekend at the Players Championship down in TPC Sawgrass. I think he'll finish top five. So if you want to place a top five bet for Scotty Scheffler, I think that was like plus 350, plus 400, right around that mark. Try and get that in before Thursday, though, because I think you can't place top five bets after Thursday. Not entirely sure on that. Don't take my word. And then Miami Marlins, my guys down there. Taking the money line versus the Phillies. That one, it's spring training. Might be the only time I take Miami money line versus the Phillies this year, but that'll wrap it up for our weekend picks. We'll get that.
Almost Nerfy season.
It is. Joey will never pass up on a good Nerfy. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's no first run or no inning, no runs in the first inning.
There you go.
I could not get that out. That took way too long. Um, but
I'm
yeah,
dyslexic over here.
if you're following us on Instagram, you guys will see that weekend picks come out tomorrow, being Thursday when you're watching this on a Wednesday. So keep a lookout for that. Follow us if you want to do that for the picks. I think we're 13-7 overall, so not bad, but we're looking to hopefully improve. Maybe go 10-0 this weekend. Knock on wood. But yeah, thank you guys for staying to the end. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that. Help us grow. We really appreciate those of you who have engaged, commented on everything so far, liked our posts, liked our reels, liked everything. I certainly appreciate it. I know I've said it before. Can't say it enough. I'm so thankful that you guys have given not only me but Joey a platform to come out and voice our absurd opinions on the world of sports and kind of how everything's going. So yeah, Joey, you got anything to send it off?
First off, I'm right about everything. Not absurd.
That's a hot take in and of itself, and we breed hot takes here. Hot Take Central. Might have to rename this podcast HTC, but we'll see.
HGC. It'll draw an audience, that's for sure. Thanks everyone for coming. We'll see y'all next Wednesday. Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
I'm trying to get Briggs to get us to drop more content, so try to push him a little bit. Maybe I'll find a way to do a special this week. Who knows? But thank y'all for liking, subscribing, all that type of stuff. Follow our socials. Follow us on Instagram, all at the NutriSave Podcast. Go get some merch. It's the one podcast that Britt's not wearing NutriSave merch, but go to NutriSaveHealth.com.
Beat Army.
Buy some merch. And thank y'all for coming in. We'll see y'all next Wednesday.